Tuesday. It is 9 a.m. Eastern and 2 p.m. in the UK. And this is I Live Here with Fonz and Steven. And welcome to the show. And I'm just waiting for everything to kick in. Won't be long though. Welcome to the recording as well. This is a special show. I am live on my own, but I have a video with me. I was out and about this morning in my town of Devizes. Hello, if you're joining, say hello and I know who you are. And what you're going to see in a moment is the video that I shot this morning. Now, this is a tour of Devizes, which is in Wiltshire in England. It's 20 miles. I'm going to say good day to Kelly, just to show that I'm live. It is 20 miles from Stonehenge, 20 miles from Salisbury Cathedral, and about 15 miles from what's that place called? Swindon, where we were at the weekend. Now, I'm going to start showing you the video in a moment. If you've got any questions about the video, I am in the studio. I can answer the questions and feature your comments on screen as normal, and say hello to Alfredo. For those technically minded, 2 hours ago, it was raining in Devizes, but I went out with my Android phone, and I'm now going to take you on a tour of my town. So I'm going to go off screen, well, might stay on screen, and I'm going to switch the sound on, and I'm going to play the video. If you've got any questions, as I say, please do ask. But we're going to go from the beginning of my journey this morning through Devizes in the UK. And you are watching I Live Here with Steven and Fonz. And this is Devizes Wiltshire. And on a countdown, hopefully this will work. 3, 2, 1, and off we go.
And I'm just walking along the road into Devizes, and as you can see, it's not the most beautiful of days. I'm wrapped up warm, and it's November 27th, and this is the main road into Devizes. And apologies for the shaky phone. I've actually got to practice a little bit on this to get it working properly, but I'm determined to stick with it, and I'm going to follow the footsteps of the great Fonz and hopefully bring you a view of where I live. Now, across the road is the Crammer, and you can see the traffic is heavy today, and Crammer is an artificial pond. The church is St James's Church, and the tower was built in the 15th century. The remainder of the church was rebuilt in the 1600s. Devizes itself began in 1080 with the building of Devizes Castle. Now, Devizes Castle is at the other end of town, and it's now private apartments. But I'll take you there another time. Today we're headed on a mystery tour as we walk into Devizes, and Devizes is fortunate in having dentists. There are several in town there. The one there was a private dentist, and across the road now you can see the green, and the front of that you can see a bench, and next to the bench is a placard. Well, that placard is for the twinning, the town twinning, which I'm involved in as chairman. Okay, so let's continue our journey. Providing it doesn't rain too much, I will take you down by the canal. Okay, on our right is Morrison's, and Morrison's is one of two supermarkets, three supermarkets in the town, and this is where we do our weekly shop. So I'm going to get to a set point and then cross. I've designed this walk so that I'm actually going anti-clockwise as we leave Morrison's and carry on into town itself. This is the Bell on the Green, which is a public house, recently refurbished. Angelica and I were there. It's owned by Wadworths, as are most of the pubs in Devizes. Wadworths is a local brewery, a microbrewery. And you see how much of this video is actually useful. There's the main street into Devizes, and it's coming up to the traffic lights. And we're not going to go through Devizes today. I'm going to take you on a journey with one or two surprises in it. And we'll turn up here. And this is where we leave the crowds behind. One of the things about towns are that they're set in the heart of the English countryside, and in a few moments we'll actually moving, and Twitch is still saying I'm live, so that's good. This is a test, by the way, of using Twitch for live streaming and recording, and hopefully at the end of this I'll have a recording which I can play on I Live Here this afternoon. Apologies for the screen, but we'll soldier on. Over there, that's Sainsbury's supermarket, and as you can see the traffic is flowing, and you can see that through traffic, Shortstay car park and community hospital, and unfortunately the community hospital is closing down, and we'll all have to decide where to go then. Crossing the road, there's a car coming, doesn't happen very often here. That, believe it or not, is a doctor's surgery, St James's surgery, and now going up a little path, and we're now away from the traffic, and can carry on up here and take a look at the houses around here. The houses here are privately owned, and a bit further up we'll see residential accommodation for the elderly in Devizes, and there is the managed housing with on-site staff who provide care 24/7. So we're out of town. You can notice how quiet it is, and we've only been walking a short distance to get outside the town onto the edges. As I say, this is all on the left and on the right. This is all managed housing for the elder citizens of Devizes. So we walk down the street and we're getting the odd person coming the other way. And carry on. At the end of the street we can see the postman and the mail being delivered. What I really need, of course, is a gimbal, and don't tell Angelica, but I found one on Amazon, and when I've got the gimbal I shall take this route again, and you'll see the difference between photographing handheld, which is what I am at the moment, and photographing with a gimbal. Now I'm not moving, which is why the camera is pretty steady. So Devizes started in around 1080 when the castle was built, and then expanded out from there and across the road slowly. Okay, so I'm across the road and just taking a look down the road. We've got the road heading out of town and the road on the outskirts of town, and the houses. There's our postman, postperson, and the houses. And I'm going to go down the side of this house, and this is one of the features that marks out Devizes from many places. Originally built in the 1700s. What we're about to look at now was one of the main methods of transport, and this is the Kennington-Avon Canal. And if I go down here, and I've got here, you can see the canal. The canal goes that way all the way down to London. Then as I turn this way, you can see it goes that way too, and that way heads towards Bristol. Now I'm not going to walk to Bristol today because that's about 60 miles, but I am going to walk a little bit of the canal path. Now this canal path was refurbished 2 years ago because it was just an ordinary path that you find alongside any canal, and they decided that they would make it so that if you were walking within Devizes, you could actually walk two people on the footpath, or you could get biked on the footpath. This is a cycle path as well. It's a national cycleway between Bristol and London, and it's an amazing feat of engineering, really, as we continue down. And I'm going to go, well, I'm going to avoid these dogs, 3 dogs, wow. I'm going to avoid those. The houses back onto the canal, and there's a wall which separates the houses from the canal itself, and let's carry on and see who we can find. I'll take my thumb out of the way. So it's the first time I've done this. Okay, now you can see the sign there which says footpath. Shall we go and discover what's up here? Okay, so we've got a footpath either way, and then we've got a footpath that goes this way. So I'm just following the path up, going across the canal. Remember, that way is London and that way is Bristol. And I'm trying to not photograph too many people. I'm just photographing the scenery before my fingers are freezing. Okay, I'm going to let this gentleman get a little bit ahead, and then I'll show you this area, or this, when we get through here in a moment, is actually known as Quakers Walk. And to the right of it are allotments, the canal side allotment. And allotments really came into being in the Second World War when we were digging for victory, and areas of town were set aside for people to actually grow their own vegetables. Now you can see it's a bit overgrown at the moment, but beyond there are allotments which people still use on a daily basis. And you can tell I'm getting onto, so I'm going to go around this corner and then you'll see something else. One of the things Devizes is wonderful at is actually making the most of the countryside that's around. Now, this path leads all the way up to Roundway Hill. Roundway Hill is a natural feature on the edge of town, and it's where one of the Civil War battles took place with Oliver Cromwell. And the church we've just seen, St James's Church, did in fact suffer damage from a stray cannonball which hit the church. It wasn't meant to, and that's over to the left now. But this Quakers Walk is a favourite spot for people to come out and walk their dogs. So we'll go up here for a little while, then I'll turn back. Okay, so I could walk up here, and I will do this on a day which is warmer, I think. So there you have it. Devizes is set in the middle of the countryside, and we are in autumn, and all the leaves are falling from the trees, and I'm getting a steadier hand now. Okay, I'm actually getting used to this. Apologies for the bouncing about earlier, but it is a cold, wet, windy day, but I thought I'd come out anyway. You've got to start somewhere, and I can practice now, but I do need that gimbal to hold the phone steady. Don't know whether I actually play the soundtrack. I'll show this video later. Okay, so if you're just joining me, I'm in Devizes, which is where I live, and welcome to my viewer. If you're from the UK, welcome. If you're from the USA, welcome. And if you're from Canada, a special welcome. There's St Mary's Church, which is now a church in name only. It's been deconsecrated and is now used by the local dramatic society and by local people to put on events. So let's go back onto the Steven Canal as we turn right here. As I say, I'm not going to walk all the way to Bristol, but I am going to go a little further along the canal. And the beauty of the canal is that in summer especially, there's a local canoe school, and youngsters are actually taught how to canoe and come out onto the water. And they can canoe as far as the locks. Now, Devizes has the longest set of locks in the UK, if not in the world. I'll show you those another time. You may have seen a photograph before. This is Steven. I'm out and about in Devizes. I'm not going to take the lower path. I'm going to stay here walking alongside the Steven Canal, which you can see down there. There's woodland the far side, and as I mentioned earlier, there are allotments all around as well. Now, I'm doing this as part of the I Live Here show. You'll see this video, or parts of this video, on the show later today. If you are watching, say hello. I can see the comments. I can't do anything about them, but I can see them. And I'm walking towards another bridge. What I always marvel about is the engineering that goes into these bridges, which were all built in the 1700s All the bridges have numbers, so this is bridge number 140, which marks it as an asset, so they can actually track maintenance of the bridge. And if that's number 140 heading from Reading, then there are a lot of bridges over the canal. Now, canals were man-made waterways to allow the transport of goods. Now, in this case, the goods came from Bristol. In fact, they came from America. So the goods come into Bristol seaport, and then they're then taken. Oh, this is a beautiful place. They're then taken by boat on the canal from Bristol up to London. Now you can see that there's the Canal Museum, which has the history of the canal building. Over the far side you can see flats for retired people, and then a car park which is one of the town's central car parks. Now, one of the things that Brits like to do is to go boating, and the boats tied up down there in summer will ply their way between Devizes and London, Devizes and Bristol, and you can see the sign there which is saying Cane Hill Locks. I don't think we'll get that far today, but we will get into the centre of Devizes. So the canals became part of the industrial backbone of Britain, and you can actually go on a canal virtually everywhere in the UK. Leeds and Liverpool Canal, Manchester Ship Canal, the canals in the Potteries, and this is the canal down in Wiltshire, which, as I say, served a major purpose of shifting goods from Bristol to London. Now, the boats that are moored here are moored here by people who actually live on boats, and you can go up and down the canal, but you can moor and you can pay to actually berth your boat for one night or several nights, or even more than that, depending on the waterway. And hopefully further up we'll see a sign which shows how this all works. Now, it looks like some major works going on over there. So these boats will come from all over the country, really, and we might see some sign of where they're from if they have the particular canal marks on them. Now, this is an area I enjoy visiting on a regular basis. Every year is the Sarsen Trail, which is a 26-mile walk from Avebury, which is a national monument, stone circle. In fact, we were there last weekend. Apologies for the background noise. This is live. I'll try and move a little bit faster. The Avebury to Stonehenge, which is, of course, 26 miles, 385 yards. Now, obviously, I can't train there. So when I am getting ready to do the Sarsen Trail, the 26 miles, I actually come down to the canal, and this is where I do my training. And I will walk on this route. I'm not going to do it today, but I'll walk on this route for 10 miles, have lunch, and then head back. You can see the buildings, quite recent buildings. Again, there are retirement apartments, and there is a waiting list. They're all private. And back to the boats, which are along the canal. Now, boats travel at between 3 and 4 miles an hour, so it is quite possible, if you're out walking and walking seriously, to walk faster than a boat. But the idea of the boat is not speed. We are, or will be in a minute, in the middle of the countryside. So what you're actually doing is taking a journey through the countryside. And incredibly, as you can see today, we look back down the path, there's nobody else walking behind us, and it's just a couple up in front of us. And that's the beauty of canals, that they are England's hidden treasure, and very rarely used. so I can come out training and just have the world to myself for 3 hours as I go the 10 miles out, and then 3 hours as I come 10 miles back. Right, okay. So I'm going to turn the camera this way, and you can see industry alongside the canal, which of course it would have been, because this was
my table there, darling, for my laptop.
How goods were transported before the railways came in. Goods were actually transported on the canals, and I got on a low. Right, okay, and yes, they are used for coal and goods and transport. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for commenting. Right, now, I mentioned earlier about youngsters being taught how to canoe, and this here is where the canoes are launched from, and you can see canoes in storage there, and you can see the meeting hut, and then they'll come down the steps with the canoe onto the water and set off from here, and normally they then head back that way towards the town centre. They won't head this way because you can see coming up is one of the locks on the County Canal, and I don't think you'd want to put a canoe through the locks. So we'll carry on our journey. We're going to go into Devizes town centre because you've seen the outskirts of Devizes, and next I'm going to take you after a slight detour into Devizes centre itself. So I just need to put a spurt on and overtake. Thank you.
Sorry.
It's alright, I'm live on Facebook. Right, so we're now going down the canal, heading towards Devizes. And it's easy to say live on Facebook than live on Twitch, really. We'll pick up our pace a bit and get towards the locks. Now, locks are a marvellous piece of engineering. They're very simplistic and they simply work. And at the moment, there are no boats going through, not this time of year. But you can see the houses beside the locks, and this is Cairnhill Locks. This is the start of the locks, and on another of my adventures I will actually take you down the flight of locks and quite possibly back up again, in fact possibly as far as the marina, which is on the outskirts of town. It's about 2 miles outside, and basically there are hundreds of boats actually moored there. Now, coming up to the main road and petrol station, as you can see, and the price of petrol today is £1.26, or diesel is £1.35. That's the road out of town, and we're going to head back towards the town centre. I'm going to find a safe place to cross, but this is the view from the locks looking back down the canal, and there. Now you might say, how do you actually get across the road? Well, to get across the road, what I'm going to do is, I'll do it this way. I'm going to turn left and we go down the path, a couple of bikes parked up, and house backing onto the canal, and we're going to go. Hopefully the Wi-Fi will stay with me, because I'm going to go under this bridge, and I've got, even if you're watching, I've got 2 viewers on Twitch, and I've got 2 viewers actually watching me. So hopefully the Wi-Fi will stay as we're in the tunnel going under the road that we just saw and to the steps. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to try and climb the steps whilst holding the phone. So I'm concentrating on the steps. The phone's shaking because my hands are frozen, but your view is similar to my view, and you possibly saw some legs there. So now we're back on the other side of the road, and traffic coming towards us heading out of town. And again, I'm going to cross the road. Excuse me for a moment, I'm just going to turn right here and check traffic down there, traffic over there, and crossing the road. And we're coming to an historic building, and we had good news yesterday. I'll show you it. This is the building in question, and it's been there since the 1700s, and it's had better days. And this is in fact the courts, but the courts moved from Devizes, don't know where to, but I'm going to stop for a moment. This, I'm going to use the thumb, this has just been acquired by the Wiltshire Museum, and the Wiltshire Museum are going to take it over, refurbish it, and then open it up to the public, and they will be showing their, well, they have treasures going back to Roman times, and they will be bringing them into here. They've also got treasures from Stonehenge. In fact, they have gold from Stonehenge, and all of that will be stored in the assizes. Okay, so we're carrying on walking down the street. We've been down one side of Devizes, and we're coming up towards now. This is a very important building in town. Can you guess what it is? This is one of Devizes' claims to fame. It's the Wadworth Brewery, and you can see the great brewing tank there, one of many on the site, and it's one of the things that Devizes is known for, is the brewery and the beers that they brew, which are exported around the world. And you can see, if you're eagle-eyed, don't stop for a second, you can see Christmas trees without lights, and there used to be trees growing on the top of the building as well. But in there is the brewery as we head down towards Devizes Centre. Now all these buildings are 17th century. Apart from behind, you see new housing which has been built in the last couple of years. So there's the bus, and the bus is on its way to Bath. Buses are the main form of public transport. There was a railway station built in 1857, and that was unfortunately closed in the 1960s. So now, that's a big truck. Now the main form of transport is by bus, and there are connections from here to London, and to Swindon, and to Bristol, and to Bath, as you've just seen. And we're now heading towards the town centre. Now the town centre is a real mix of architectures, dating, as I say, the town itself was founded in 1080, which is, quick bit of maths, 938 years ago. And like Topsy, it's just grown. So you've got a whole wealth of architectural styles on show as we head up towards the town centre of Devizes Wiltshire. And I'll break off for a moment. And my viewer is saying that the bikes earlier may have been stolen and dumped there. That's back when we were back on the canal. So we're heading up into the town centre, the market square of Devizes. There is every Thursday a town market. There is every month a farmer's market. Now that's the bingo hall, but it's also the cinema, and it's a private cinema, and it was rescued and it's still going well, and it is quite a good place to go out of an evening. Now, one of the things Devizes is famous for are the pubs, and during my journeys through Devizes you'll be able to count the pubs, but over there, well, first of all, the post box, and collection at 5:45 tonight, and on Saturday at 12 o'clock. So post boxes, red post boxes, you'll find everywhere throughout the town. So you've got the Black Swan, and next to the Black Swan is a Costa Coffee. Next to Costa Coffee was a phone shop, that's now gone, and then there's an accountant's, and then next to that WH Smith's as we're walking along. This is a brilliant chip shop. It's called the Marketplace. Do you get the pun there? It's called the Marketplace, and it's a great place to have fish and chips, I can tell you. Right, so we are in the market square. I'm just going to slow down. There is a fountain, and then you have the monument, and in the background you can see the buildings. You've got Lloyd's Bank, Superdrug, and of course Pete's Express, most of which you can probably find on your high street. Right, okay, I can see that my viewers are gone, and I'm just going to carry on for a moment. It is getting rather wet here, so forgive me for doing this, but let's see if we can get a good shot of the town centre on a wet Tuesday in November. And the road down here actually leads down to the railway car park. Okay, and I'm about to run out, so I just want to get to one other place as we go past the Corn Exchange, and the Corn Exchange is used for events, musical events, and it's where we have our twinning dinner when we have our guests from France and Germany. So my tour is nearly over as we go through the town centre. Just a couple more, three more things to show you in the next few minutes, apart from the cars. We've got plenty of pubs and plenty of banks in Devizes, and I'm going to cross the road again. So going past NatWest Bank, there is the HSBC. Next to HSBC is Barclays, and next to Barclays is Santander, and the building at the bottom of the street is the town hall, and we'll get closer towards that, but we've got one thing before we actually get there, and head down the street. Next time when I come out, I'm going to make sure that it's not actually raining. Okay, I'm going to turn right in a minute, go past Wetherspoons and the shops across the road, which are gearing up for Christmas and the Christmas trade, and turn right here. And there, in the background, I can only go as far as the gates because this is private property, is, believe it or not, as we get closer and closer, Devizes Castle, and it's private and not open to the public, as they say, but you can see the portcullis and you can see the towers of the castle, built in 1080. Not in the Domesday Book, but that's how Devizes began, as ad Devizes, which is crossroads, and that's where the word Devizes comes from, and from that castle. So go down, back down this street towards the shops, and trying to stop this camera shaking. As I turn right, I've got going down the main street towards the town hall. Past shops on both sides, and traffic in the background. Wasn't it quiet when we were walking along the canal? Now it's decidedly busy, and I think I can see now a case for actually getting the gimbal. So there's the recent refurbished garden, and ahead of us the town hall. And there's a plaque on the wall. Let's go and take a look at the plaque. The town hall was built in 1806, and across from here is a microbrewery called the Vaults, and I'm going to head down the street, which is one way, but I'm on foot. Now, an interesting thing, as we come towards the end of this broadcast, and I can put my gloves back on, is that over here, that's the town hall entrance and notice board, but this here is the town jail of the entrance. It's underneath the town hall itself, and it's the old town lockup. So when the police found somebody wandering the streets at the dead of night, they would bring them to the old town lockup and put them in the cells down below. Now, there are open days in Devizes, and we've been to that open day and been down in the dungeons, but they did let us out again. Right, this is one of my favourite streets in Devizes, and when I turn around in a minute, you'll actually find out why. Okay, coming up towards the church, one of the first churches to be built in Devizes, and there we have the church, and if I turn around you can see the street, and I just think that's perfect for photography. Okay, so we go around the church and the open graveyard, and I'm going to my last stop of the day to give you a better view of the castle, and also to show you something else. It'd be nice if there was somebody actually in the studio controlling this, but there isn't. So we've gone along the canal, we've come into town, we've passed through the town centre, and now we're headed towards, well, in 1857 the railway arrived in Devizes. In 1961 it was closed down, and the track used to run onto this bridge. So on our left hand side now, this is where the track used to run. Now you can see beyond that houses. There is no way the track can come back, but it used to run around here, and it ran underneath the castle, and you can see up there Devizes Castle, and it is a magnificent sight. Right, this is Steven in Wiltshire, signing off for now. I'll see you in my next travelogue. Bye.
Thank you, Cheryl. Right. I muted my microphone so that you wouldn't hear me at all whilst the video was playing. It was fun doing the video this morning, even in the wind and rain, and showing you some of the local area around Devizes. It is a market town, and it's bustling on a Thursday when people come into town. And that's just one side of the town. And Kelly was saying, yes, I was silent. I was doing my own version of a silent movie, I think. And I'm just grateful for Cheryl for actually pointing that out. Now, Fonz will be back with us next week. And as I said earlier, on the 18th, we're very fortunate. On the 18th of December, we've got a tradition in the UK of Christmas markets. Now, this was imported from Germany, and Christmas markets are a very festive occasion with Christmas stalls and Christmas goods. And Gospel is going to take us around on December 18th. So put that date in your diary now. We will not be broadcasting on the 25th, but we will broadcast for the next 3 weeks. If you've got videos, I mean, this was my first outing, and I enjoyed myself, and I will do it again. If you want to shoot a video of your local place, and I say hello to Catherine, and you've missed a tour of my hometown of Devizes, but you can watch the replay if you will. If you've got a video of your own that you've shot, then please send it to us, and Fonz and I will happily play it on the show, and you can join us as a guest off camera and do a running commentary, unless you record with sound. It is good fun. I can say that now. I've done it. I've been and gone and done it. I've done my first ever outside broadcast using my Samsung phone, and thank you, Catherine. So that's it for today. Fonz will be back next week. I'll be back next week. I hope that you join as well, and look forward to seeing you. Enjoy the rest of the week. I hope it's not raining and windy where you are, but that was my video of my hometown, Devizes, and thank you, Cheryl. I agree, and it's only 20 miles away from Stonehenge as well. So we've got Stonehenge and Avebury and Salisbury Cathedral, all within 40 minutes travelling time. But Devizes is thank you very much, and I agree. Have a brilliant day. Devizes is a tourist centre, and we get hundreds of coaches every year. It's the premier coach destination where people come and have a walk around the town and enjoy the cafes and the bars and everything that Devizes has to offer. If you ever get the chance and you're over in England, do drop in down to Wiltshire to Devizes, and you can not only enjoy the sights, but it'd be wonderful to actually meet up with you. So this is a rather breathless Steven, even though it was 2 hours. It was wet and windy this morning when I shot that video. Yeah, Stonehenge is only 40 minutes away, 20 miles, 40 minutes. And we generally go to Stonehenge 3 times a year. Next time we're due there is Christmas. And now that I know this technology works, between Christmas and the New Year, fingers crossed, I'll be live from Stonehenge and take you on a guided tour of the visitor centre and Stonehenge itself. So you can join me sometime between the 27th and 31st of December, live from Stonehenge. Now we've got the technology ironed out, and I'm going to go and get a gimbal so that my hand doesn't wobble as much, and to get a microphone so that you don't get the distractions of the background noise. Although I thought it was realistic to have those. So see you all again soon. Take care and goodbye for now.